Spooky season is upon us, so I figured I'd get into the spirit. Also, a new entry is dropped in my favorite murder mystery film series, so I had to see it at the drive-in. I'm Troy from Marks on Movies, and today I'm reviewing the newest film adaptation of an Agatha Christie novel, A Haunting in Venice. Now, on to the story. For those that don't know, this is the sequel to Death on the Nile, which is the sequel to Murder on the Orient Express. I loved both of them, and I felt like they were pretty faithful adaptations to the source material. I really appreciate that the director and star of the film, Kenneth Branagh, has an obvious love and respect for Christie's work, and just wants to bring them to life on the big screen. I'm not going to do my typical running down of the entire plot blow by blow, but I'm going to give some broad strokes that won't give away too much. After all, it's a murder mystery, so I don't want to give it away. We start by showing that our hero and detective extraordinaire, Hercule Poirot, has effectively retired from detectiving and moved to Venice, Italy. He has a bodyguard that basically stands between people who are requesting Poirot's services and Poirot himself. That is until one day, someone from Hercule's past, novelist Ariadne Oliver, stops by to pique the detective's interest. She says that a Halloween party for orphans is going on at a local palazzo owned by a woman named Rowena Drake. After the party, a world-famous medium, Joyce Reynolds, will attempt to help Drake contact her deceased daughter, Alicia, who grew sick and mentally ill before diving into the canal below and dying. Poirot has no faith in an afterlife and thinks that mediums are all frauds, so he humors Ariadne and goes along to prove that Reynolds is putting on an act. Once at the party at the palazzo, we find out that years ago, the palazzo was actually an orphanage. But when the plague swept over Italy and many of the children grew sick, the doctors and nurses who ran the orphanage locked the children inside and left them to die.
But why? Why would you do that? Why would you do any of that?
Because of that, people say that the souls of the children still roam the palazzo's halls, looking for doctors and nurses to take their revenge. Things get weirder before the seance, as it's not just the detective, the bodyguard, the writer, the grieving mother, her housekeeper, her family doctor, his young son, and the medium, but Alicia's ex-fiancé also receives an anonymous invitation and decides to show up. Poirot quickly proves the first half of the seance to be BS, as he finds two young assistants of Joyce Reynolds hiding and pulling some fancy tricks on behalf of their boss. However, Joyce seemingly becomes possessed by the spirit of the deceased Alicia Drake and claims that someone in the room has murdered her. The seance comes to a close after that, as Joyce says that they'll follow up tomorrow night. When everyone disperses, Poirot decides to have some fun bobbing for apples, and someone attempts to drown him in the barrel right before someone dies.
There has been a murder, and you are a suspect.
Okay. Hang on just a sec. Let me settle in, and I'll be right back.
Very good. Very good.
This starts Hercule Poirot on his way to figuring out who tried to kill him, who did kill someone else, and if Alicia Drake was really murdered, or if she had truly committed suicide. Also, is this Italian palazzo with a dark history really haunted by vengeful spirits of children, or is it the power of suggestion and mind games that are fooling everyone?
This case just got interesting. Well, not just. It was pretty interesting to begin with. This case just remained interesting.
Sometimes it's the living who are scarier than the dead. This was a pretty interesting premise and a major change-up from the first two films. Not only was this a whodunit murder mystery with people dying in a locked-down, contained area, but you're adding in an element of a rough storm going on in the middle of the night on Halloween, and possible supernatural elements to it.
I'm getting scaredy farts.
The twists and turns keep on coming. There were multiple mysteries all within one movie, and you seriously can't trust anyone in this movie, except for maybe Poirot himself.
What, that guy? What, do you think he's got malicious intent? Are you reading bad signals? No, he's not that kind of guy. He's a good guy.
The film was darker than the first two, not just in tone, but in actual brightness. Everything in this movie was dark. I didn't mind, since it perfectly fit the tone they were going for, but it's very noticeable. I don't usually notice these sort of things, but the cinematography was unreal in this, and really stood out like a beacon. Various shots, once we get into the palazzo, set the chilling tone just as much as the lighting and the subject matter itself. I'd say Murder on the Orient Express has been the most star-studded of casts for this trilogy so far, but Death on the Nile boasted a pretty great lineup of Hollywood A and B-listers. A Haunting in Venice honestly only had a few bigger-name actors like Michelle Yeoh, who seems to be in damn near everything nowadays, Tina Fey, Kelly Riley, and I suppose you can throw Jamie Dornan in there, but I'd say it was kind of scarce for marquee names compared to its predecessors. That being said, I didn't see a weak link in the cast. Everyone played their roles beautifully, and everything was acted to the level of a Hollywood blockbuster. It remains to be seen if A Haunting in Venice will be a commercial success, like the very first two films, but early reviews are a mix of pretty good to boring. Personally, I loved it and didn't see it as boring at all. Not having read the source material, I honestly didn't know about some of this, but according to an article from thedirect.com, linked down in the video description, this film was a bit of a departure from the actual Agatha Christie novel that it's based on. In an exclusive interview with The Direct's Russ Milheim, James Pritchard, the CEO of the Agatha Christie estate and executive producer for A Haunting in Venice, spoke about the big changes made by adapting Halloween Party. Pritchard admitted that there are a significant number of changes, something the creative team was comfortable doing after releasing two very pretty faithful adaptations. Quote, "There are a significant number of changes in the story, and yes, one of the clues is in the title. With Murder on the Orient Express and Death on the Nile, we had done two very pretty faithful adaptations of two pretty famous, pretty big books, and Michael Green, the writer, and Kenneth Branagh, obviously the director, and Hercule Poirot, felt that we should maybe surprise our audiences with this and try something a little bit different." End quote. Another element the team was hoping to incorporate in this third entry was playing a little bit with the horror genre. Quote, "The main difference they were looking for was tonal. They wanted to play a little bit with the horror genre, and they felt a Halloween Party was a great launch pad into that. They wanted to set it in Venice. That was quite an early change that they came up with. There were two potential reasons for that. One of which is, if you're going to make a Hollywood movie, you want a great backdrop, and Venice is, well, not many backdrops come better than Venice. So there was the kind of cinematic elements of it." End quote. Skipping down the article a bit, another big change for the upcoming movie includes a big seance, as seen in the project's promotional footage. The sequence is a notable part of how the film is being marketed to audiences as it tries to sell itself as a possible supernatural story, though no such scene is found in the original Halloween Party. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Are you planning on seeing A Haunting in Venice? Have you already seen it? What do you think of it? Did you see Murder on the Orient Express and Death on the Nile? Did you like those films? And did you think that this was a good follow-up to them, or do you think that this was a bit of a crap-out for Kenneth Branagh's third outing? Share your thoughts with me down in the comment section. Also, please share this video around everyone you know, and don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click that little bell to be notified every single time we post brand new content. I've been Troy from Marks on Movies, and we'll see you next time.